So today I want to try to get the motor stabbed in the frame. So I put the steering, electric power steering in, put the motor mounts in, just kind of mocked up so I know where everything's going to be. I got the motor up suspended. I got one of these levelers. Yeah, it's not level, but it leveled the motor. I'd had to adjust it that way so I didn't get a lot of interference with the supercharger. Then I noticed that there was a little bit of a hit on the blower case must have been from the accident. That wasn't from me. You can see it's kind of greasy, so it's not shiny like I just did it. I had to swap out the transmission cross member. That was smashed, and that's what's left of the motor mount for the passenger side. So I put a new one on there. So we'll see how it fits. It's going to be a struggle to getting it in there, and turning around, it's a lot of weight. So we'll give it a try. So it looks like there's a couple things in the way. That cross member is going to have to go. I still got to go back about a foot. It's going to have to be lowered to miss I can raise the body up, that's not a big deal. That what's left of that cross member's got to be cut out, and that's going to hit for sure. Other than that, I think it should go down. I think. We'll see what happens. So it's pretty snug fit, but actually clears the front cross members. Not that that matters, but it's pretty snug. Could almost put that rear cross member back in. Swap it for the factory aluminum one just to see how it sits, hold it up. So, well, I mean, if the body goes straight down, it's definitely going to clear the engine, so that's good. Don't have to change the motor position or anything. So we'll try that. Motor sitting on the motor mounts. Transmission is just sitting on that transmission cross member that I almost cut apart, but it turns out there was no bolt hole in it anyway, so it just slid out of the way. It actually sits pretty good. So I'm going to let the body down now and see how that fits. It's sitting back down on the ground. It's held up in the air with the jack, but that's the ride height. So I wanted to put everything back on the front end so I can check to make sure that I've got a decent angle on my engine, transmission, and the rear end. So this way here, if I need to make an adjustment, I can still do it and I know where to go. So I'll get the digital inclinometer out and take some measurements on the tail shaft and on the rear pumpkin flange and see what the angles are. After setting the motor in place, I put the fender and the core support and the front grill on to see how everything's going to fit, see if I have room for my radiator. Got the AC condenser, and then down in here is the radiator for the supercharger, but it's pretty tight. I did what I could. I kind of modified the bracket here for the AC condenser to bring it in about 1 inch closer, but that's where the power steering cooler, or the transmission cooler, goes in there. So I'd have to remote locate that somewhere else. So it's not the best solution. But, and then I'm still really tight here. I don't have room for my fans. And this elbow and air box, I really want to try to keep because it's part of the Whipple setup. It's all pre-programmed to run with that. If I screw with it, change it, it changes the airflow of my mass air sensor, and I have to reprogram it. But I'd like to just leave it as is, so that would simplify any tuning issues or eliminate any tuning issues and just run it the way it was running before. But the more I look at it, I mean, if I move the motor back, that would give me more room, but I don't want to move the cradle back because the wheels are perfect right where they are. I do have tons of room behind the engine. I mean, I could probably move it back at least 3, maybe 4, but 3 for sure. And then that would bring the airbox back. I'd have room for my fans. I could even put the regular, I need a new condenser anyway, put that back in with the transmission cooler in that gap there. So I have to modify the motor mounts. Transmission mount's not done yet anyway. So I think it probably would make more sense to do that. And then I'd have a lot more room in front. I have tons of room back here, so I'd be probably foolish to not move it back. Nothing in down there is going to be in the way. I have to check the steering, electric rack and pinion steering, to make sure that's going to clear. But it would push it back where it's more relative to the way the original Mustang was designed. So my hoses and coolant lines, transmission lines, AC lines will all kind of bolt up, and I won't have like extra that'll be bunched up together. So not sure about that, but I think I'm going to try doing something. And then the other thing that I did was I got the air conditioning box out, and I think I'm going to take this apart and see if I can salvage it. Maybe I can just use the heating and cooling elements and the fan, because to get an aftermarket one, they're really expensive. I don't really feel like spending, you know, $1,000, $1,200 just for an indoor evaporator. This already has all the controls on it. So I might be able to do something with that. I also cut out a piece of the firewall from the Mustang, and I've got the controls from that. They'll bolt right on that plate, and then I can kind of locate it on the firewall and see where it fits best. So that's where I'm at.